Hey everyone, this is my version of a prawn biryani. This is a very simple dish to make, very flavorful, and quite low in calories as well. I hope you enjoy watching this.
Right, time to make some prawn biryani. Right, so let's just go through the ingredients right now. So I've got 3 white onions, I've got 4 green chilies, I've got some mushrooms here. I've got some basmati rice. This has been soaking for about an hour, but you only need half an hour. The reason why I'm leaving it soaked is just so that the starch in it breaks up, because last thing you need right now is, a doughy rice. And I've prepared 3 different spices. So I've got spices that are for the rice. I've got spices that are going to be for the masala, for the curry. And I've also got dry spices here. So I'll just explain what I've got. So with the dry spices here, I've got turmeric. I've got a teaspoon of turmeric. I've got a teaspoon of red chili. I've got a tablespoon of coriander powder. And I've got, what else do I have? I have a teaspoon of cumin powder as well. So that's for the dry spices here. Oh, there's also some salt in there, but not too much. We're going to add some salt later. And these are your whole spices here. So this is what's going to be fried first, and it's literally just for the aromatics here. So here I've got cloves. Let's see how many cloves I've got. I've got about 4 cloves in there. I've got 2 bay leaves. I've got 5 spice. I've got a teaspoon of 5 spice. Now, 5 spice is essentially just mustard seed, fennel seed, cumin seed, coriander seeds, and there's something else in there. I forgot. If you don't have 5 spice, it's okay. I mean, you won't have as much of an aromatic flavor. You could easily just put some cumin seeds in there and a few other seeds if you have just those. I've also got some whole peppercorns in there as well. Ideally, I would have some cinnamon sticks and also some cardamom pods. I don't have any. I just forgot to buy some. So, I mean, these will do for now. But if you have them, please do use them. They definitely help. And these are the spices that I have here for the rice. Now, these ones here, these are 2 bay leaves. 2 star anises. Oh yeah, sorry, that's the other thing I have in here. I've got 2 star anises or anises, however you pronounce it in there. I've also got another 2 in here. I've got again some black peppercorns, and I've got 4 cloves in here. So those are the spices. What else do I have? I've got a tin of chopped tomatoes. I've got let's see, let's open up the fridge. So I've got some prawns that I've been marinating. Now, these are pre-cooked and brined prawns, so you'll notice that I won't use as much salt because I know they've been brined. Now, if you have ideally, if you have fresh prawns, use those, and you want to essentially give them a light fry as well. And here I've marinated them with turmeric powder, garlic and chili paste, and some salt, just a little bit again because I know they've been brined already. What else? Actually, I do have a few other things. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there's your ginger garlic paste. That will be in a big help right there. And I think that's everything. I'm gonna use the butter. I'm gonna use the butter. Yeah, I don't have ghee. Now, ghee is traditionally used for biryani or most Indian dishes. But I don't have any, so we're just gonna go for that. Right, so I think the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to heat up the pan. Now, the first thing I want to do actually is just bring out the aromatics from the whole spices here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use a neutral oil. So, let's see, I've got some vegetable oil here. Now, a lot of people, let me open this actually as well. A lot of people tend to wait until the hot oil is really hot and then add your spices. I don't really like doing that, and that's mostly because usually when you do that, it ends up burning the spices actually. So what I like to do is actually, once I put the oil in, give it a little stir like that just to make sure I cover the entire pan. I'll just add my spices now. There. And as the oil heats, it will leach out more of the flavor, if that makes sense. You know what? It would be useful if I had a spatula. Oh shit! All right, you never saw that. That wasn't meant to happen. Oh well. The show must go on. Let's see. So I'm just gonna use a spatula. Let's see. That might do. Actually, no. This one here. That'll do. So yeah, I'm just gonna give it around. I'm just gonna wait until they start, bubbling up, frothing out. I'm gonna about a minute, roughly, give or take. Oh dear, this is gonna be annoying to fix. Right. What else I need is I need a knife. Let's see. Apologies for the mess. There we go. That's my. Oh dear. Okay, we'll deal with that in a bit. Right. Here's our knife here. So while that does its thing, I'm just gonna chop up the onions right now. Now with these, I just need them sliced roughly thin. So let's see. If we go for here, usually if I'm like mincing them, I will cut off. I will leave the root intact, but I just need to chop them roughly into pieces. So I'm just gonna chop each end off like that. Right, get that way, and then I'm just gonna cut each bit. Notice with my hands, I'm having this like claw technique here. My knife skills are terrible, so if you're a better chopper than me, congratulations. I'm not. So there we go. This one. We're just gonna get them chopped up like that, roughly. Thereabouts. And then same thing here. Right. And then same thing, just chop. Like that. Oops. Just keep an eye on your temperature on these. Again, you don't want to burn them. That's the worst thing to do at this point, is burning your spices, because it's gonna leave a nasty taste. So what I'll do, let me just get rid of all these like roots, onion roots and stuff here. Right, I'll just put these to the side. Same thing.
Here. Again, if you were mincing them, you would not be doing this. You want to keep it. Same thing. Chop here, and then chop sideways. There we go.
So, might be using too much onions for this. I do like a lot of onions, mine. I prefer my recipes a bit stronger on the taste. So, if you only want to use 2 onions, just go for it. I'm just using 3 because I'm like that. So, right. Let's see. So, yeah. See, that's mildly browned up there. That's perfect. So, actually, what I will do before I chop that one, I'm just going to put these onions in first. Like so. Then, there we go. So, the onions, we're putting in the onions. We just want to brown them. We want to get them soft. I don't like to use the word caramelize, because believe it or not, browning your onions, make them soft, is not caramelization. That's something a bit different. That actually requires quite a lot of time. So here we're just trying to get the bitterness out of the onions. That's about it. And coating them in those spices there. You might want to, at this stage, let me just finish cutting this last onion up here. At this stage, you might want to put some salt in, and that's because with salt, it'll actually leach out some of that moisture from the onions, so they cook a bit faster. What am I doing? There we go. All right, so same thing, just chop, chop, chop here. Also, always make sure your knife is very sharp. Your most dangerous weapon in a kitchen is a blunt knife. So you can tell this one is a little bit blunt, because you can see how I'm like sort of messing up these cuts. So I'm being a bit more slower with it. I should have prepared for that, but I have not. Typical. So there we go. See what a blunt knife does? It just kind of like slips about the place. You'll end up like chopping off your fingers or something. You don't want that. Anyways, let me put on the fan as well. We add these in. Right, and then maybe a bit of high heat. Just give that a good mix there, like so. And you want to keep doing this until they're literally like brown and soft. You know, like caramelized onions. They're called caramelized. They're not caramelized. All right, just give them a good mix. There we go. Give them a stir if you need to. Where's my salt? There's my salt. Again, with this table salt, you want to be a bit careful. So usually you use like a sort of rock salt, you know, bigger pieces. But I don't have that, so I'm just gonna very lightly on these, because table salt, you tend to misrepresent the amount of salt you're really putting in. And the last thing you want is a dish that's too salty, because that's almost irreversible. So crank up the heat a little bit. There we go. Just give those a stir. Right. So while that's doing its thing there, I guess I could, yeah, I'll just chop up the chilies. So, you know what, actually, it might be better if I had a smaller knife. I do have a smaller knife here in my very broken drawer now. Should be here somewhere. Ah, there we go. There we go. Just something a bit more easier to use for a dish like this. Right, so just cut off the ends here. Like so. Again, being a bit careful here. Always keep watching your onions as well. If you forget about them, they will burn. So just play around with the temperature a little bit if you have to. Just try and maintain that optimum temperature where they're cooking, but they're not too hot, they're not too cold. You know? Like so. Right. So, yeah, our next ingredient are green chilies. Now, depending on your spice level, you might want to adjust the amount of chilies you're using. I'm using 4. I do like a bit of kick to mine, but even if you had just 1, that's completely fine. I know there's some people that just completely omit chilies, but I mean, to be honest, it's not just the spice, it's the aroma, the sort of, I guess, flavor. What am I doing here? Let me just cut it like that. Just into fine little bits like this. Again, I did say my knife work was awful, you know, so if a chef is watching this, you might be cringing out right now. Fair play. These are finger chilies, I think they're called, green finger chilies, so you can find them in any supermarket. Quite cheap, so I won't put them in now though. I really want to wait until my onions are caramelizing up. Ah, see, now I'm using that word. Browning. Go. Just make sure as well you've got enough oil in your pan as well. You don't want the last thing you need. That's another reason why onions tend to burn. So there's not enough oil, so they just start shriveling up. Not ideal. Right, let's see, we'll leave that go for a little bit more. What else can we do? So, once these are done, we're gonna sort of make our masala paste. So, I've got some chopped tomatoes here. This one is in tomato juice. Ideally, you just want the chopped tomatoes themselves, but I mean, if you want to bulk up your masala and turn it into almost like a curry, then you can use this that includes tomato juice. That's fine. We'll put the green chilies here. I'm going to cut up the mushrooms in a bit. You don't need to use mushrooms if you don't like mushrooms. I'm just adding them because I happen to have them. And I mean, I personally do like mushrooms. And of course, obviously, if you're a vegetarian, then you could just omit the prawns as well and just have the mushrooms. Or even if you have something else that's vegetarian, go for it. So, there we go. What I might do, just put a little bit more oil. Because do you see how the browning is happening there? So that's almost like sort of a bit burning up. So that's telling me that I'm not using enough oil. But I am trying to restrict the amount of oil I use, and that's simply just for calorie control, and that's about it. But yeah, usually you would just go ham on the oil, just put as much as you want in there. So you can see they're developing quite a nice flavor right now. Nice waft of aroma. Again, leave that to go for a little bit. Okay. Now with your rice. So this has been soaking for about an hour. What you want to do is just drain the excess if you can. I should just use a strainer, but hee-haw. There we go. Right, and maybe just give it one more wash, like not even a soak, just a wash. Just really sort of try to get all that starch out there, because that is really going to ruin your recipe if you keep it in there. So you see how the water turns really cloudy from the starch there. So there we go. Perfect. Check on my onions again. So yeah, at this stage actually I might just start adding the rest of the stuff in there. You can see they've quite nicely browned up. They're not completely deep dark brown, but I mean for the sake of biryani, this is completely fine. So what I will do now is I'm gonna add my chilies in there. Oh, here. Alright. Gonna add my chilies. Give it a quick mix. Right. I'm gonna add my ginger garlic paste. Did I put that there? So we're going to take a tablespoon of this, roughly, give or take. I keep looking back at this. It's like such a mess. Right. Ginger garlic paste is in. Give it a mix again. Oh yeah, that's smelling great. Okay. And then let's see. I might start cutting out my mushrooms now actually. So I'm just gonna dice these. Well, cut them into fours. Like so. Again, you don't need to use mushrooms if you don't want to. I'm just using them because great source of nutrition, and also mushrooms go well with everything. And obviously if you wanted to use like chicken or lamb, you can do that. The recipe might be slightly different. I mean, these are pre-cooked, keep in mind, so usually if you have raw prawns and they've been marinating, you might throw them in now for a bit, or the last thing you would throw in there, because if you've ever cooked prawns before, you would know it only takes about like 1 or 2 minutes to cook. They're really easy to overcook, and they'll turn rubbery, which you do not want. So once you're happy with this, I'm quite happy with how this is now. I'm going to try to think. Yeah, I might add in my chopped tomatoes now actually. There we go. I will get this fixed. So we'll do that now. We'll add in the chopped tomatoes, give it a mix, and then we're going to add the dry spices that we made. So there we go. Just get that out of the way. Move that out of the way. So there we go. Give that mix again. So yeah, usually other recipes might just say just dice them out without the tomato juice, but I'm using it here because one, it's already in the can, and two, I kind of like mine to be a bit more, I guess you could say, bulkier. So this is completely fine to do. You'll be fine, right? So at this point, I'm going to increase the heat a little bit. I'm going to get it up to boiling. Once it starts boiling, I'm going to throw in this dry spice mix right here. Oh, I forgot to mention as well, make sure you have some garam masala, because I'm going to use this here just separately, and I'm going to use it at the end to sort of coat the biryani. You'll see what I mean in a bit. So there we go. Really give everything a good mix. Everything's boiling, perfect. So now I'm going to add my spices. There we go. And give it a mix. And then I'm also going to add my mushrooms now as well. There we go. Like so. You might want a bigger pan than this. Right. Let everything in there do its thing. Give it like, I'd say put on low heat now. Roughly low heat. Leave that to go for about... So again, if you had raw prawns, I would probably say to put it in now. But mine are already cooked and they're also brined. So I'm going to let this cook for about 6 to 8 minutes on low heat. Again, if you have raw prawns that you'll put in now. If you don't and you have cooked prawns like mine's, I'd probably add mine's in at the end after this has been on low temperature for a bit. So right now what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to coat the mushrooms. Really try to get the heat exposed to them. You might ask, well, why didn't you just put it in before the tomato juice? The problem is with mushrooms is that after they've cooked, if you keep them any longer, they start to get really dry, and I don't want that. So by the time this is finished doing its thing on low heat for like 6 to 8 minutes, it should be completely cooked. While that's doing its thing though, let's oh, I wasted a bit of rice there. Let's just get the water going for the rice, and then we're going to put in our aromatics. I might wait until the water starts boiling and then put in the aromatics, but yeah, let's see. Start with this much. This is about... So a good way with rice to test is actually with a finger test. So, I mean, right here, depends how much rice you have, but right now we just want enough that will cover the rice. So, actually what I might do is just to put this here, and then put that there. And then that way, I can have the bigger hob dealing with that. There we go. Going along nicely. If you want, you could put some water in if you feel like it's getting a bit dry. So, I mean, I'm looking at that right now. That's looking a bit dry, so I might add some water in there. Just literally anything will do. Just a little bit. I mean, do it bit by bit with this stage. So a little bit like that. Just don't want it to dry out, that's it. Really get the sort of consistency in there. So maybe just a little bit more. And that should be good. The water will also help with diluting it as well. Because right now, if you were to taste this, it's like very in your face sort of flavor. So we're just going to let that do its thing here. Put the heat up a little bit. Drink some water as well. So what you might want to do as well is actually just add a little bit of butter. I mean ghee. If you have ghee, use ghee. I don't. I'm just going to use some butter here. Just maybe like, yeah, like an inch width. Just a little bit. Right. Jump cut. It's been about 8 minutes, roughly. I forgot to record it, but it's been 8 minutes, and I've added in my prawns, as you can see here. And they're going nicely. My water is just about boiling for the rice, which is great. So what I'm gonna do now is got some garam masala here. Just gonna add a little bit of this on top. Just literally sprinkle it. That's it. There we go. So just a sprinkling of that. I mean, if you had to give a measurement, I'd say maybe a teaspoon, roughly. So do that. Give it a little mix. Perfect. My water is just about boiling, so I've got my dry spices for it. I'm just gonna throw it in there for about maybe a minute before I put in the rice. So also when you're cooking basmati rice, just make sure that you've salt it up. Makes a world of a difference. I don't know why people do not salt their rice, because it's just bland, and you didn't. The last thing you want is bland rice, especially for a rice-based dish like biryani. So there we go. That is just about done. This is optional. I'm going to do it. I'm just gonna check my spice cupboard. Bird's eye chili, or maybe something else. Got my cayenne pepper. So yeah, if you want it a bit spicier, I'm just looking at mine. So I'm thinking I could do with a bit more spice. Cayenne chili pepper, yeah, just a little bit of that. Again, don't do this if you don't like, if you can't handle spice. This is just me being the spice guy. Just a little bit of that. Just give it a bit more of a kick. It's completely up to you if you want to do that or not. So yeah, just want your aromatics to be boiling. And trust me, a lot of people say, oh, what's the point of doing that? It doesn't do much if you're just boiling it. A lot of your flavor comes from your smell, which is very ironic coming from me because my smell is so bad with the nasal polyps I have, as you can tell from my voice. But they really do help, especially bay leaves. You know, and there's a whole debate of whether bay leaves do anything or not. They definitely do. I would say I've tried it before. Okay, so now as you can see, the rice is just about boiling there. So I'm gonna just bring my rice that I've soaked and washed. Just gonna throw it in there. Now, what I want to do, I'm gonna keep this on a high heat. So usually, how I cook rice is, you know, you want just enough that it's like up to like, you know, the first line of your finger here. But for biryani, you don't want to fully cook it because it's going to be cooked later on as well. So we're just going to keep this going until it's about 70 to 80% cooked, which if I were to translate for you is throw it in water, boiling water, high heat, maybe about 8 minutes or so, 8-9 minutes. You just want it mostly cooked, like in spaghetti terms, al dente. So we're going to let that do its thing here. I would say the masala here that we're using is pretty much done, so I'm gonna leave that. It's just cool, because once this is done, I should get a temperature for this. Oh, one more thing you might want to add to this, again, completely optional, is a bit of again, a bit of butter or ghee if you have it, or I mean, okay, so you can use it now if you wanted to, or you can wait until it's done. There's argument that can be made that, you know, oil and water don't mix, so there's no point putting it in. It does it does do something to it a little bit. It kind of like loosens it. In this case, I'm just having second thoughts. I might leave the bar until it's like cooked, so I'll probably do that, and we'll probably jump to this once that cooking process is done. Right, it's been approximately about 9 minutes or so on high heat here. So you can see it's frothing. I would say right now it's about done. Test it if you need, but I've already kind of tested it. So we're going to take that off the heat. Where are my gloves? That'll do. Right. So we're going to drain the water now. Like so. Oh, that's really hot. We'll just use this. Okay, and let's just pour the excess water away, like so. It's okay if there's some left over, it's fine. Here, right? So, there we go, there's our rice, about 80% cooked. Give it a bite, yep. There should be just a little bit of resistance. That's about it, right? And there is our masala here. Again, I've kept it on low heat here for a bit. What I was gonna say, what you want to do as well, if you think it's a bit too spicy, or even if you want a little bit of an extra depth to it, I've got a little bit of vinegar here. You can use lemon juice. I've got vinegar right now, so you could just pour that in. That's about 20-30 mils. Just throw that in there. Let's just give it a, just sort of cool down a little bit on the spice, like so. Right. So once this is done here, now it comes to the fun part, which is building this lovely thing here. So we're going to use this pot here that we use for the rice, and we're going to layer it. So I'll show you what I mean in a bit. So what you want to do, you might want to put some oil in the bottom, and that's just to stop the rice from burning, I guess, once the cooking process is happening, which is great. So yeah, so now let's see if I have another spec. I will not open that. I'm just not going to open that. Yeah, let's just use this. Here we go. Right, so I think what I might do, yeah, I might bring this over here. So what you want to do with your rice here, just going to get a little bit here, scoop it, put it in the middle of that, just put a light amount. Remember, you want to make around at least 2 layers of this, so just enough to cover the bottom, just about, like so. There we go. And then we could, ouch, that is hot. Okay, and then we're going to come to the other side here, and we can do the same with the masala. Now should probably be a bit responsible and not, I was going to pour it from the pan, but I know that's just going to create a mess. Let's just use a ladle here. So scoop out a bit and just sort of dress on top, like so. Sort of just evenly space it out thereabouts. So there we go, that should be good, like that. Okay, again, spread it a little bit if you need to, just a little bit. And then bring this over here. Again, as you can tell, I'm really not prepared for this at all, am I? You can leave the spices in there. You see the bay leaves and stuff, you can leave that in there, that's fine. I mean, you could pick them out later. I like to, because I mean, there's still a little bit of flavor in them, right? So right now, this stage is a bit of a hassle to just take them out. So there we go. So I think for my one, mine's is definitely going to be about a 2-layer version. So with the amount that I have, obviously they can keep going. So I'm just really gonna try and use all of this here. So like so, and just spread it out if you need to. There we go. See how a little bit the sort of, yeah, even it out a little bit. I know this is probably not the best way of doing this, you know, it's a very crude way of doing it, but hey, if it works, it works. There we go. There we go. Right, and then for the final bit, let's just put the rest of the rice on top. Like that. Here we go. Perfect. Try not to waste any rice. Give it a tap on the top if you need to. There we go. Perfect. Right, and then for this part here, I can just, to be honest, leave that there. I might just, yeah, there's not a lot left, so I could just, yeah, just spread it around like that. Make sure to get all that masala in there. There we go, give it a spread, like so. Perfect. Right. At this stage, remember that butter that we were dealing? We put it at the bottom. I might put on the top a little bit of butter as well. Again, if you had ghee, this would be so much easier. What I might do in this case, though, I might just cube it. So, just so that it distributes a bit easier, if that makes sense. So just a little bit here. Right, and then remember the garam masala that we had? We're going to put that a little bit, a little sprinkle of that. So with the biryani, the way that they work is typically that once you're done with this, you're just going to mix it at the end. And then the final ingredient, my favorite, fried onions. If you fried your own onions, way better. But I got these on offer, so I was like, might as well use them. So just grab, there we go. Just coat that there. If you have like greens like mint or coriander, that's where you would put these in as well. I don't know, as usual. Right, now that this is done, what you're gonna do, get the lid. You're gonna put this for 5 minutes, high heat, 10 minutes, low heat, and then let it to rest for 10 minutes. Another trick you can also do, I don't have one, but if you have a tea towel, you put the tea towel underneath the lid, and that just makes sure you trap in all the moisture, which is ideal for this sort of recipe. What you can also do, I might actually do this once I've cut the camera, is just get some aluminium foil, put it in there, and that will just seal the the moisture, and then that will make sure that your biryani definitely doesn't dry out. And that's it. Right, it's been about 25 minutes, 5 minutes high heat, 10 minutes low heat, 10 minutes rest, and we're ready to unveil. Oof. Oh, that's hot. Awesome. Let's start plating then. So, traditionally, you would put the plate into the pot and just scoop from the bottom, but that just seems like something that I cannot do. So we're just going to pull it out. Look at that. Here. And yeah, that's how you make biryani. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.